Okay, what's going on, everybody? It's CEO and founder, Crane Financial, Hollis Full of Love, back again with another Crane conversation. We're here today with Marc Hardy, the author and executive director of Can I Be Real Incorporated. Again, author, so he wrote a book, you know what I mean? Get that established black man. How you doing today, Marc?
I appreciate it, man. I'm good. How you living?
I'm good. I can't complain, man. Well, I mean, obviously, it was really timely important that we had this conversation because of all that's been going on in
Sure.
America in terms of, the situation with Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and thousands of other people who we can't forget. Young man, Drayshawn Reed in Indianapolis, right in Indianapolis. And I
Sure.
know from us having a relationship, me being familiar with you got going on, I figured you was probably the best person to talk to because I see a lot of people trying to figure out what it is they can do and how they can help and what role they can play in making our situation better. So first and foremost, let's talk about maybe how you felt over the past few weeks with everything going on, and then talk about your organization, Can I Be Real Incorporated.
All right. Well, first, thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it sincerely. But I mean, I would say I felt pretty similar to everybody else. I will say when Drayshawn Reed was murdered here, it definitely hit a little harder.
Right.
I mean, it was actually like down the street from my crib, so it was like, this is very real here, and it kind of sparked a little more urgency into like what I'm doing,
right,
and supporting everybody else who's doing similar things for the same cause. So it initially was anger, hurt, and sadness, but eventually just became motivation for me.
Right.
To make sure I'm handling my business and taking my approach full steam ahead, and making progress with that. So that's kind of how I channel it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because anger and sadness and all that is natural, but for me, I just know that when I feel that way, okay, now it's time to work.
Right. You automatically get activated in figuring out what it is you can do to either overcome the situation or play a role in some sort of solution.
For sure, man, because I hate to use this word because it was such a tragedy, but times like these, really inspire me.
Right.
I really work off of inspiration. So like, it may be a great event, tragic event, but I was inspired to continue to do the work and, try my best, make the world a better place, for lack of a better term, in my own way while I'm here. So.
Right. And I mean, this isn't something that you just started doing. Can I Be Real Incorporated has existed for a number of years at this point. I know that working with you, it's been a number of years. So talk about kind of how the organization spawned and what the mission of it all is and how it kind of fits now that we need this more than ever.
For sure, man. June, I want to say either 15th or 17th, 2015 was when Dylan Roof went in Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina,
right,
and murdered those 9 individuals. And for me, that was a turning point because we had seen these police brutality, murders, etc. But I'll say for that, it really ignited a fire in me. Like, I got to do something because I grew up in the AME Church.
Right.
My grandmother was one of those people who went to the Tuesday Bible studies every week with like a dozen people in it. And I was like, you know what, that could have been my church. Or
right. Same. My grandma in the church 3 times a week.
Bruh, every Tuesday. And I know they welcomed him with so much love. And I was like, while I'm here, I have to try to do something. Whether it's the smallest thing, but I have to try to do something to prevent another Dylan Roof. Because like me just sitting by idle, getting mad, and then waiting until my timeline refreshes and forgetting about it, that wasn't cool for me no more. So I wanted to make sure like I'm doing something. Did I know what I wanted to do? No, not at all. It wasn't until about a year later when I had picked up the like reading for pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Like some in my life, I was never really a big reader. But I moved out to California, and once again, I was inspired by like all the different types of hustlers out there. Like,
right. It's in the Bay. It's a lot going on in the Bay. We both
yeah,
spent time on.
especially in Silicon Valley, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I knew technology wasn't my thing, but I knew I wanted to do something in regards to, you know, a response to Dylan Roof, but also something that, you know, I could build and really impact people.
Right.
I was like, you know what? I like reading. You know, how about I just sit down, start writing, explaining to white people how I feel about injustices, but also brainstorming ways that ordinary people can help the overall issues.
Right.
So help us all the time. So I just started writing, man, and then about 14 months later, it came out on Amazon, self-published it, not really knowing what I was doing, went to YouTube University, figure it out, and it served me well. It's really raw. The book is really, really raw, but it's my truth.
Right.
And, you know, at the same time, I'm trying to help inspire people to think about what they can do. So from there, I knew I wanted to be bigger than a book. And I kind of just stumbled across the nonprofit route. And with the nonprofit, I knew that I wanted to create programming where I'm really giving people the roadmap to figure out what they can do. Like the book and the nonprofit is my way of just having an impact on injustices. So like I want to help other people figure out what their impact is.
Right.
You know, whether it's small, large, like we're not here to judge. We just want people to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So that, you know, now it's 3 years later since the book released. You know, working every day with the nonprofit, and just one of our biggest programs is My Plan. And essentially it's a diversity, equity, and inclusion workshop in which we guide people through how to figure out what they can do from their position in society. Like I said, no matter how small or like big the idea is, we just want people to leave with something. Mm-hmm. So everyone leaves with a detailed project plan that we kind of help them build throughout the workshop. They leave with that, and then they can opt in to sort of a consulting period, if you will, in which they try to implement their plan. Right. Wherever it is in the community, in their church, work, whatever. And we kind of help them through that. And then at the end of that period, which is typically like 60 days, we evaluate people's progress and award someone with a cash award for their efforts. So it kind of gives people an incentive to actually figure out what they can do it, and it's all for a good cause, you know, whether they win the cash award or not. And then for the organization that brings us in and facilitates this, like they now have tangible results from their diversity investments.
Right.
Say, you know, we put 50,000 into diversity this year. Okay, this is what came of it. We had an employee create this, an employee create, you know, whatever it is. So they can draw on that and really, really continue to build. And also it just builds morale for different groups. Like it's increasing, you know, hope in people. And you're giving people an opportunity to win a little extra cash, which we all can typically appreciate.
Yeah, everybody wants some money.
Yeah. So we've really been building that, working on that the past, year or so. And we're really looking forward to it taking off now. We've done it in different forms. So now we're really, really all steams ahead, man, with that.
Okay. So it sounds to me like you really are giving, whether it's in an organization, a larger organization, a small organization, or individual, you're really giving them the tools they need to actually go out and be active and help make the world a better place in terms of
right. We helping them evaluate what they can do, because in my experience, coming across people, it's like they feel like the issue is so large.
Right. It's like, what can I do?
Yeah, like what could I do that's really going to impact something? And And for me, it's like, you know, with Can I Be Real, if I'm able to change the perspective of one bigoted person or one prejudiced or racist person, I feel like that's one less person who can, that's one less cop who can kill a black person,
Right.
or, you know what I'm saying? That's one less Dylan Roof in the world, you know?
One less judge who could lock you away for life. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And, you know, I'm not, Tupac said, and I don't know if I got it exactly right, but he was like, I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I'll guarantee to spark the brain that'll change the world.
Right.
I feel like that's the best way you can go about any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's going to change overnight. So, you know, we just got to try something while we here, while we breathing.
I think for me, it becomes talking about the situation right now. We're talking about police brutality, systematic oppression, systematic racism, and it shows in every facet of life. I don't think people understand that, how racism is, the fact of racism is not something that I don't like you because you're black, is that I have the power to take a job away from you, take your freedom away from you, take your life away from you without being penalized, with no one being able to stop me because you're black. You know what I mean? It's having that power behind whatever feeling it is you have.
That's real.
Me, I've had to, like my grandmother educated me and my siblings on the history of this country in terms of black history. And, you know, before we got to this country, so my understanding of the black experience throughout the years is not just one of a common person who does not know, where I didn't just get it in school. I was getting it outside of school. So when you see situations like this happening in 2020, it's like very, very, very defeating. You feel small, you feel angry, you feel sad. I mean, to be honest, the whole video, I still haven't watched it, but I tried to ignore all of it for I think like a few days, because you do not want that to take over your headspace, right? Because at that point you become paranoid, like everything just bothers you, you know what I mean? And I didn't want that to take over my headspace, but when it did, and it was there, it was present, my first thought was like, you know, like, what can I do? You know, after that initial feeling of sadness and hurt and anger. So, okay, what can I do? What is my role? I always felt I was going to play my role in the arena of tools I had, you know, things that I can do in terms of knowing about accounting, knowing about taxes, knowing about personal finances, entrepreneurship. I can push those things as much as I can, and that can help in some way, shape, or form, even though it might not have a direct effect in terms of dealing with a racist person or a racist situation. It can help maybe elevate or not have to give you some sort of independence, right?
Yeah.
But sitting from my seat where I am, and I think a lot of people feel this way, what can I do to help? How can I start helping? What should be the first steps I take? If I don't feel comfortable protesting, or if I don't think protesting is the most effective way for me to get out and do something, what can I do to help?
Because it takes, you know, obviously it takes it all. Like Martin had Malcolm, you know what I'm saying? Like we had Huey, we had all these different types of people taking their own approach, right? But all of it is equally important.
Right.
All of it is equally important. So for people who are asking themselves, like, what can I do? The first thing I would say is find your why. Find out what really, really motivates you. Find out what you really get passionate about.
Right.
If it is financial literacy, if that's police brutality, if that's housing inequities, if that's school equity, like whatever it is, figure that out, because you'll need that when you get exhausted. Right? Because this work can be draining at times. So you need that as like your battery pack to help you keep going.
Right.
And then next, I would say just evaluate your hobbies. Evaluate what you're already doing in your free time. Evaluate what you enjoy, right? So for you, and I know you've already done some great things with this, but your thing is you like, you know what, financial literacy, you like educating people. That's already something that you enjoy. So it's like, how can you leverage that? How can you leverage that to, like you said, empower someone else, especially youth? I mean, that's typically a direct line to like making a difference in my opinion, just working in education. But, you know, how can you leverage that to give them the tools they need to once they are adults, they are in a more privileged position, if you will, and are able to make more of the necessary changes that are needed, right? Because they have that foundational education. They have that, you know, they've been elevated, you know, and know how to leverage that. If that's your way, that's your way, you know, and nobody can take that from you, you know.
Right.
So that's kind of what we encourage people to do is evaluate your hobbies, evaluate the free time you have, because that's another hurdle that a lot of people will like say is like, I'm just so busy with work. I mean, we lead busy lives, work, school, family, etc. If you've got 30 minutes a week, dedicate that 30 minutes to having an impact on whatever you feel passionate about.
Right.
If it's just watching a 30-minute YouTube video on how to write a book, or a 30-minute YouTube video on how to teach kids financial literacy, or just sending some quick emails to, you know, I don't know, different banks, you know, for their financial resources, or like how you can connect. So like spend that 30 minutes, you know, because if you take that every week, you know, in a month, you done put 2 hours in, which was more than you did the month before. You know, you're closer to having an impact than you were a month before. So really eliminating all of those barriers to where it's like, you don't have to say, well, protesting isn't my thing, so I'm not going to do anything. Or
Right.
I have time, so I'm not going to do anything. Or I don't really feel passionate about anything, so I'm not going to do anything. So that's where I would say is a good place to start. And just evaluate who can help you, man.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to do this alone. Like, you know, you're helping me with your platform. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have to do this alone. And there's some brilliant people around us who can help us and who
Right.
want to help. So yeah, just those things, and be creative. Be creative. Like you don't have to lead a march.
Right. I can't be Malcolm X.
You don't. Like I was at the I've been going to a few of the protests, and I realized when I was there, like, you know, hopping on the bullhorn and rallying people is not my strength. Like,
Right.
it's not, and that's okay. Like there is nothing wrong with that, because somebody gonna handle it.
Right. That is somebody's though.
Yeah, like here in Nap, it's been a couple groups that I know come to the top of mind. Black Women in Charge. It's like 4 or 5 young Black ladies that are really out here like holding it down. You know what I'm saying? Like
salute the queens.
For real. So it's like, you know, I'm gonna follow y'all because y'all got this. But
Right.
you know, I know what my strength is. And that's really, you know, walking people through, helping them figure out like how they can approach these things from their place in society. So we need it all, man. We need it all.
Right. No, I mean, and another thing, just the way you put it, right? What skills do I have? What are my hobbies? Skill of mine is accounting. So one thing I will do is all organizations, and this is just off the top of the head, all organizations that are fighting for the rights of African Americans in America, any of them, no matter what level, what size. If you need any help organizing your business, if you need any help filing your taxes, you need any help with any of that type of stuff, free of charge, 100%. I could do that. Right. Mm-hmm. One of the main reasons why we started doing these videos and creating conversations is to break down the barriers of entry and information into entrepreneurship. We need to see more Black-owned businesses. I mean, I think we're in a situation of a renaissance now, right, where we're seeing people in our age group doing it more and more and more, and the younger kids even more because they know how to leverage technology so well. But whatever it is that I can do to pass on information or amplify information or make it easier, just easier for the person that's coming behind me, whatever lane they want to be in, I feel like that's something that I can do to help as well. And that's something that I've pledged myself to do, right? I don't think I can be, well, I don't know what the Lord has for me, but I'm not Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, right? I think a lot of times that's like an intimidation factor that a lot of people face in our generation and maybe the generation directly before. We don't have those large figure leaders that we can point to and say, this is who we following. And we feel, but we don't feel that we necessarily can do it either, right? So it's like a conundrum of well, we need leadership, but we don't know who to follow. And then we find somebody who we might want to follow, but we'll tear them down because they're not perfect, they're not pristine, they have their own personal issues. I think what's really dope is what you're talking about is we are through going from that mindset, we can find a way to be those leaders in ourselves by playing our role, right? Being a star in the role that we have, then we helping move forward each day.
Yeah. And you know, like Martin and Malcolm were Martin and Malcolm for a reason. Like that takes any of this takes tremendous courage. Mm. Those are some of the most courageous people, as well as many others in the civil rights movement.
Right.
You have to be really, really courageous. I was having a conversation with an older Black woman at one of the protests downtown, and she was like, you know, why are they breaking windows and etc. when there's these police cars right here? Like, go straight to the source. Like, beat this police car up. And like, I was letting her know, like, you know, if they take that route, they got to be ready to die.
Yeah, you lose your life behind it.
Like, legit ready to die. And if they bout that, you know, for the cause, you know, like, that's great. But you can't expect people to
everybody not gonna do that.
Courage of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Like, that's almost ridiculous.
Right.
Like, you can't expect people to have that, but you know, people can approach it from their own way. And like, I'm not gonna judge you. Like, as you doing something, like, who am I to say, oh, you ain't doing enough? Because somebody could easily tell me that, you know, very easily. So, you know, as long as you're doing something and like you confident in it, you passionate about it, like, go for it, man. That's how I feel.
Right.
And I'm a support you.
That's true. I mean, we like you said, everybody plays a role. Everybody plays a role. We gotta have our lawyers, our Black lawyers there ready to go, our ally lawyers ready to go. You know, our ally judges ready to hold it down in the courtroom. We gotta have all those things in every facet. That's what the oppressors do. They have allies on their side of every faction. Police officers in school with the defense attorneys. The defense attorney and the police officer, they all golf with the judge in the whatever town you in. Yep. That's how people don't go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So it would behoove us to educate ourselves, number one. Number two, like I said, play our own role so that way the system can help each other. So can I be real incorporated, needs help with something? Crane Financial right there to help you. What your work is directly moving to people. You can't be in business if your paperwork ain't right. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So one hand washes the other. A thing I saw you tweet earlier today that I really want your opinion on, and I think it kind of chimes into this conversation. You said, you know, I don't know to be mad or happy that my social media timeline is changing from being serious to being more funny. Because, you know, we all want to have fun, we want to laugh and joke, but we don't want to lose sight of the moment that we're in right now and just get distracted and forget about it. I mean, I struggle with it because it's hard dealing with the reality of our existence day in and day out. You know what I mean? And you look for escape. You look for places to be free and happy and joyful. But then you also don't want to drop the ball of being able to make this world a better place because it wasn't convenient, right? Do you think if people were able to identify their role in this, and if it was easier, accessible for them to see in what their role is, we wouldn't feel such a burden or a strain in supporting the movement?
I won't say you won't feel a burden. I won't say you won't feel a strain. In my experience, though, when you have something that you are passionate about, and you have something that, you know, you can own, you know, this is my way, this is what I'm doing, it provides that much more hope for you, you know, to where you're not completely hopeless. Because like you said, like, it's defeating. A lot of this is defeating. But I find hope in, you know, putting on my plan sessions and, you know, doing different things with Can I Be Real? It's not like I'm completely oblivious and I'm not realistic. But, you know, it helps. It helps just me feel like, okay, I'm doing something. I'm able to transfer that energy of hurt and defeated into, you know what I'm saying, like potential progress. So I think if people did have something that they could like lean on and build, I definitely feel like it would help in regards to them feeling hopeless all the time.
100%.
But I'd be a fool to say like, you know, it'll all go away.
Yeah. I mean, freedom ain't free. Freedom ain't free. You're going to have to get some stuff up, some convenience to get what you really ultimately want. And that's going to be the true test in this movement. And another thing that bothers me, and I'm not sure if you dealt with this, I guess this is kind of where you would fit in perfectly, is I had a lot of friends, a lot of my white friends reach out. And I know that all the ones that reached out, I know in their heart they're sincere. Like, I know they don't mean any harm. The ones I actually did have the conversations with, I know where their hearts lie, and I know that they truly are allies and we are real friends. But the people I don't know, you know, that just being extra nice at the gym or being extra nice at the convenience store, it's like, I just want, like, it's nothing for me to do to make you feel comfortable. You know what I mean? There's no words that you can say that's going to, like, make things better. There's no conversation we can have. But because we're not asking to be lifted on a pedestal, we just want the regular freedoms that everyone else. That's it. You don't got to treat me. Just treat me like a regular human being, and don't try to hurt me. Don't purposely go out your way to harm me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same, man, and I think the fears of just white people is losing power. And my thing is, in my experience, I don't know too many Black people that are like trying to oppress white people.
No, it doesn't exist.
They may be out there, you know, but I don't know. It's just like we just trying to live. We just trying to, you know what I'm saying, get it just like y'all. Because, I mean, there's enough out here for us. So, you know, I think that's one of the things they fear. And it's like, we just want to be, you know, treated like a human, really.
Yeah, we just want access to the American dream, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's it.
Yeah. And you know, I was talking with one of my boys the other day that was like, you know, it makes them mad that, you know, some people are doing this for clout. Like,
yes,
some people are, because it's trendy, you know what I'm saying? Lives Matter is trendy right now. And, you know, that's definitely true. Some people are going to do it because it's trendy. But my thing is, like, for that 30% that's doing it because it's trendy, there's still 70% that's like really like, oh, like this is a real problem, which is way more progress than I've personally seen in my lifetime.
Even the 30% that's doing this because it's trendy, even though they mind and heart might not be in the same place, those actions can indirectly or directly bring people whose mind and hearts are in the right place onto this side and trying to make progress and help.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to happen anyway. Some people are going to be like hop on it because it's trendy. Some people are going to try to overcompensate, you know, and that's just going to come with it.
Right.
That's just a price of doing business, if you will.
Yeah.
So I don't trip on that. I usually just try to, you know, let it ride. They're gonna be them. But it's the people who are genuine and really are seeking knowledge that I try to get my attention to.
Okay. I mean, that's the only way to really handle it. If not, you're gonna drive yourself crazy. I think that's one thing I wanted to say. Like, people, those first few days was just like, if people don't agree with you, you automatically a coon, and going back and forth, arguing points. People, it's like, man, I don't really know if it's gonna serve us any justice to get forward arguing with people who don't see the vision, right? People who want to continue to be blind to this, you're better off just ignoring them. You know what I mean? Because you are distracting yourself from getting forward progress and distracting us all. We can all collectively use that energy toward the positive and towards finding solutions, as opposed to arguing with ignorant people. Because at this point, that's what they are, is ignorant. They're liars, they're dumb, whatever way you want to do it. There's no point in arguing with those people because they don't see it, and they're not going to see it, and it's because they choose not to see it. So I think for us as a people, especially our age group, right? It's a seminal moment. We have to figure out, one, what it is that we want and make those demands. And then two, figure out, like you said, what role are each of us going to play with each of our respective backgrounds, respective skills, respective disciplines going to play in order to see those demands through.
Yep. And I mean, because you can't, like, with the back and forth or whatever, like, as Black people, we all have our own brilliant minds. Like, that's what makes us cold, okay? Yep. So, like, we're never going to agree on everything.
Don't have to.
Yeah. So, like, if you don't agree with my approach, then find your own, you know what I'm saying, and invest in that. And if your approach is what you say it is, it's going to rise to the top anyway.
Right.
That's how I felt with a lot of the, like, looting and rioting conversations. It's like, you know, young people are hurt. Young people are traumatized. Young people are tired.
Those are the ones that work retail.
Yeah. And if you look back on all these, like, moments in history, it's all been started with young people. Like, young people, like, move the needle. And it's like, you know, you have an issue with that. Okay, fine, you're entitled to your opinion. What are you doing? How are you, you know what I'm saying, helping this situation? You know, because if you're looking down on somebody else, how somebody else is like displaying their anger or letting their frustrations out, okay, well, why don't you do it the right way? Whatever that means to you. And, you know, like I said, it'll rise to the top. And it's funny because those same people who was complaining about the rioting and looting, you know, you don't hear that much anymore because people are throwing these, you know, millions of dollars, and, like, you got NASCAR, like, saying you can't bring the Confederate flag to the races no more, like, stuff that we would never, well, me personally, would have never imagined, you know what I'm saying? And it took that, plus it took the peaceful protests, it took signing the petitions, it took donating money, it took financial, it took Can I Be Real? Like, it takes all of that. So,
all the pieces matter.
Yes. All pieces matter. For real.
It's all. I ain't even think about it like that.
Nah, it does. It does. And I really genuinely, truly feel that way. So, like, if we, you know, down in each other, like, we hustling backwards.
Right.
You know? Like,
it's a waste of time.
Yeah. And I feel like that, you know, at least with social media, I feel like that even beyond race. Like, you know, there will be 10 people who, you know, and 9 of them will be, you know, for a good cause, but one of them will say something wild, and now everybody's on their head giving them
talking to the wild one. Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's gonna happen. No, we're not gonna agree. Like, we spending all this time over here, we losing time progressing with these other 9 people.
Exactly. Which was what we should focus on. We should just say, okay, one person, that's your opinion. God bless you. Us 9 over here on the same page, we're gonna build on that. That's all.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you rock. I ain't even got. I don't have the energy. I don't, because doing this takes so much.
Yep.
It takes so much, so I can't waste none of it.
Are you hopeful where we're at right now that we'll actually see real change in terms of change of policy, change of policing, change in just the status quo? Because I always thought we wouldn't see these changes ever in my lifetime.
Well, I'll say this. I am, like, naturally a hopeful person. So I'll sit with that. I know not everyone is. But yes, I am hopeful. But I'm able to balance it because I'm realistic as well.
Okay.
Like, they've proven to us for hundreds of years how they, you know, can we cuss on here? I ain't gonna cuss.
Yeah, you can cuss, man.
They've proven to us so many years how, like, they do us dirty, and, like, they can't be trusted. So, like, there's still that reality of, like, you know, I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Right.
you made this statement. You said that we're going to change this, going to change that. I'm still full steam ahead because I know that like you may not follow through on that.
You got to hold them accountable at every step.
But to me, the I think it was the state of Minnesota saying they were going to sue the Minneapolis Police Department. Like, to me, that's more progress than I had ever thought of. Just saying it.
Right.
Even like, not even if they follow through or not, just putting it out there into the atmosphere is progress to me.
Acknowledgement, because beforehand we was getting a lot of the spin of, like they tried to do with George Floyd. Oh, he had all these pre-existing health conditions. They tried to spin it to where it's like, oh no, the police didn't do anything wrong. But it seems like now we actually getting government entities acknowledging how wrong this was.
Yeah, and we always been like, we got to hit their pockets.
Right.
Suing a police department, okay, now, you know, that's their pockets, you know. Yep. Maybe other police departments will look at that and be like, is killing that black person worth being sued and losing all this money? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, I am hopeful, but I'm not holding my breath on any of these statements, on any of these anything.
I'm hopeful because we came together quickly, number one. And we saw people play their roles in different ways. We saw people riot and loot. We saw people hit it hard on social media. We saw people out in the streets protesting peacefully. We saw people pushing petitions, and then we saw people giving money, right? Like, for example, John Cena gave $1 million.
Wow.
I don't got to say a word. I'm not going to say anything stupid like Drew Brees did. I'm just going to get the money, and that's my contribution.
Like,
you know what I mean? Like, people came together as a whole. Part of it is because everybody's at home and we still in this pandemic and we're not living our regular lives. So we're hyper, like anything that's news, we're hyper locked in on. But that's a perfect storm. Sometimes you need a perfect storm of things to happen in order for it to be changed. You know what I mean? So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, and we're going to make sure we continue doing our part any way possible. Like I said, I'm going to say it again. Any nonprofit organization that is working towards the advancement of black people in any way, shape, or form, we got you. You know what I'm saying? We got you. We 100% Crane Financial.
That's crucial. That's crucial. And you know, you should be committed to that. You should be commended for that. I support it. You've been doing my little taxes, getting me my little dollars for a few years. so like I'm all for that, man. I'm all for that. Keep doing it. Keep even when our timelines do refresh, even when we're not hearing so many statements, you know, that's when that why comes in. That's where that why comes in at. When it's like, you know, the dust is kind of settled, we're not thinking about it, but no, this is still a real issue that like we just gonna have to keep fighting forever.
Forever.
And that's why it got to be something you love too. That's why with my plan we evaluate, you know, hobbies, you know, and just because, you know, it's got to be something that you want to do that isn't, you know, burdensome for you.
100%. So I know we talked a little bit offline about the virtual event you guys are gonna have coming up. Tell the people about that, man, so we can all get involved.
For sure. So July 1st. What we're doing is we're hosting it's a Wednesday from 8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and my co-founder, Andrew Adeni, we're hosting a virtual My Plan session, abbreviated. Okay. So it's the workshop that I mentioned that I talked a little bit about before. But what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the 6 steps that we have. And help people really evaluate, really look internally, and, you know, jot things down, and, you know, whatever it is. It's a community brainstorming effort for anybody who has questions about, like, you know, how can I help? Or, you know, come within this community. It's a safe space. We're all just being creative. We're all supporting each other. So it's a $15 registration, $15. And the goal is you leave with an idea, something you can implement to impact change, right? So at the end of the hour and a half, you know, people will be able to opt in to our like consultation. And what
Okay.
that looks like is after the workshop, we're going to send you off. We want you to implement your plan as much as you can, you know, like even if, you know, you don't actually fulfill it, like we want you to start the steps in getting there.
Mm-hmm.
So after 30 days, for the people who opt in, we're going to evaluate people's progress and award somebody with a cash award.
Okay.
Progress, you know, so we just want to give people an incentive, number one, to do something good. And we feel like everybody wins in this situation because even if you don't win the cash award, you still, you know, have something that could possibly be, you know, priceless, which is like a unique idea or, you know, unique idea for yourself that like you can turn to the next time this happens, the next time police kill a Black person, you know?
Right.
And we're all just trying to help each other. So that'll be July 1st. It's a Wednesday, 8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll have an Eventbrite where you register. Once you register, you'll receive the Zoom link.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna go in there. We're gonna chop it up.
Okay.
Really bounce ideas off of each other, and really make it happen, man. So I encourage Black, white, Latino, literally any human who just is moved to do something, who doesn't have that $1 million to donate, etc. Hop on. The worst you can do is like leave and not really have a full idea, but at least you know what to at least think about to get there.
Right.
And
I mean, I'm gonna continue doing my part. What I will do to support this event, Crane Financial will definitely pay for 10 registrations. How about that?
Woo! Y'all hear first. Hey,
We'll pay for 10 registrations.
Crane, man. Blessing boys.
Well, they $15, right? You ain't say $150.
$15.
Right? Oh, okay. All right, cool. We got 10.
And the money goes towards the cash award and our fee. We're a nonprofit. We've been building this for over a year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're not trying to get rich, but you know, this is a valuable product that we're offering people, and we're excited about it. We're just trying to inspire some hope, man. So let's do it.
But we know for sure at least be 10 people in there. Okay.
Yep. I was saying, like, even if we just had 5 people, man.
Right.
Like, I don't base success off how many people interact with Can I Be Real. I base it off of if one person showed up and one person left with like a quality idea that they feel passionate about, that's going to help somebody, like we've done our job.
That's all that matters.
So,
yes.
That's all I care about, man.
100%. Man, I want to thank you so much, though. You really helped me a lot get an understanding on what role I can play. Like I said, we have been talking back and forth for about a week, just trying to figure out what's the best way to try to find some next steps and solutions for people. I think this event right here is a great event for people who, like me, had the issue of saying, well, where do I fit in all this? How can I help? I know I have to play a part. I know I have to be active, but I don't know necessarily what is the best and most effective way of me doing it. I thank you. I thank you for that so much. Where can people find your book, though? Where can I purchase your book?
It's on Amazon. Out the gate, it's on Amazon. Can I Be Real? You just type that in. It'll come up. You'll see my man Coolin on there on the cover. That's his name, Coolin. And you can get it there. It's $10. People can reach out to me directly. You know, it works too. If you don't have the Amazon, all that works. I got you. I'll send you a copy ASAP.
Right.
But yeah, man. And I'll say people can follow our Facebook page, Can I Be Real? And also the Instagram, just_Coolin, JUST_COOLN. And same thing on Twitter.
For sure. Man, I appreciate you, bro. We
appreciate you, man.
To the people leading the revolution, brother. Keep going.
Hey, I'm right next to you, man. That's all.
You.
I'm right next to you, man.
All right, man. Love, bro. I appreciate you.
Stay safe.